Hello, today I am going to be doing a small tutorial on how to paint a coconut crab termagant. As you can see here, I have my already primed termagant, and I have my after the full painting termagant. This is my first long-term video, so I'd like to make a few things known very quickly. I am absolutely remaking a kind of video that another two channels I've seen have already made, which is the coconut crab color scheme, but they did it with different models. One of them did it, which is the original, did it with some guards and some warriors. The other one did it with Termagaunts, I believe it was, and a screamer killer. These are great, but I believe it left out a lot of essential things in the Tyranids that still needed to be painted, and I honestly just want to show my own version of how I do this. With that, you can see I have my Termagant here. It's got all the dots, all the stuff. This is one of my more recent ones, so it's not going to be as good, not going to be as bad. Sorry for the blur there. And so I wanted to simply show how it is and try and touch up on anything that I thought those two previous channels had missed out on, to hopefully help people who are planning to make a full army or just want to use this color scheme to impress other people like I am. Now then, we are going to start off, and I have already done this, painting our Termagant with a nice Wraithbone prime buff with the guns and the claws. I hate this blur. I'm just going to keep this down. I am so sorry. This is my third take in this, and I still don't know how to get the blur to finish. So because I got the Leviathan box set, I don't have Leviathan blue. I know. I'm cheap, but I recommend Leviathan blue, but I have also found it works very well mixing a decent amount of Abaddon black and Margie blue. I probably said that wrong, but oh well. Using these, you get a pretty decent replica of the two, and it gives you a nice dark blue. And voila! You get pretty much just the exact same, except for a few minor differences in color. And you get to put that onto all of the important bits. Sorry for screen shake, I was shutting my face. Yeah. You're going to start off with pretty much the same as the Termagant video, painting all of the claws in the same dark blue. Now, I will probably speed this up. As you can see, I have now put the blue onto my claws and the ending of our gun. Not too much on this side because it is covered by the head and both arms for the gun, but the claws get all the same. It is very messy, I will agree, but I usually go back with the same Wraithbone right before I'm about to put details on something, and I will redo the priming with a Wraithbone. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to do it. If you are fancier than me, you can absolutely avoid that, or just more careful. I did it quite quickly. Now that I've washed off my brushes, I'm going to continue with the next color that I need, which is going to be Royal Cloak or some kind of lighter blue cyan. This is my only war paints that I do have in this color scheme, at least. And so I'm going to use it to basically dry brush on the claws and the gun. I'm going to have it kind of dry brush fade into the darker blue that we have made. Now, if you don't know what dry brushing is, because this is a very poor tutorial, and I only have just a few models under my belt, but I've gotten kind of the hang of it, I feel like. You simply take your paint, and you're going to put a very small amount onto it. Then you wash off your paint. Not wash it off, but you will run your paintbrush over a napkin or a paper towel or something to get the paint off. And you can simply get this really nice effect. I'm not sure if you can see it with blur and stuff. Yeah, it gives you a really nice effect. It's a really long-lasting tool that I feel like the majority of people can use with very little effort. I'm actually going to come back here and just add a little bit of our dark blue, whatever you're using, and kind of dry brush that in to certain places as well. And now that we've finished our dry brushed gun, we are going to once again dry brush, or just blend if you're fast enough. I'm going to simply dry brush our same cyan, royal cloak, whatever you're using, onto the 4 claws that our Termagaunt has. Also like to say, please ignore any times that I go off the screen because I'm using my phone for this camera, and that is not the greatest. Now that we've done the claws and the gun without the wires, we have yet to do the wires. That will be our, honestly, last step, because I like to use a wash for that. I am going to go ahead and say all of the colors and steps that we will use it for, just to keep you kind of there. There's 5 colors after these. You have Wraithbone, once again. We will use this for our lower dots to kind of go into our middle layer, which will be Kislev flesh or tan flesh if you're using Warhammer, or not Warhammer, but Warpants. I use Mornfang brown, but you can also use dirt splatter or some kind of medium brown mixed with some kind of black. Lastly, you are going to use 2 washes, run over the entire thing other than the claws and the guns with Seraphim Shade, and we're going to do the wires and tongue with Vulpus Pink. So if you're batch painting, go one at a time. If you're single unit painting, I recommend getting all 3, because this can go relatively quickly. One thing these tutorials say is there is a chest piece underneath the arms of the Termagaunt. I don't paint that with detail. It is extremely hard to get right, and very few people will actually see it, let alone even know it's there unless you specifically tell them. Even other Tyranid players won't notice as much. So, you can just kind of throw a layer of paint over that. It will get on other stuff, but that is why we have our Wraithbone, as I said last time. So, there are other spots with the carapace that you'd still probably need to put some detail in. These spots are the head, the body, focus please, not you, the camera, legs, and the Termagaunts actually have a carapace on the guns. So these are where we're going to start first. Take your Kislev flesh, or whatever fleshy color you need, and begin to put just a light layer over, that was miserable, I am so sorry, over your carapace. You don't have to do it completely, I end up doing it fully though, on the gun, and then occasionally on accident, the legs. There we go. Now the legs are kind of tricky, and you want to make this seem wobbly, but the legs have a very small spot. You have 3 blades, it's a very straight line. I actually think it's better to paint half and half and then add little dots in between with the rave bone instead of trying to add 3 different colors. It just feels like too much, to me at least. So, take your flesh color, once again, for all of the carapaces. Carapaces, I don't know too much. You can judge me if you want. And just kind of make a line, completely uneven if you can, and then do that on the other side. Once again, the head and the back, we will do the same thing. It is the easiest, and I actually really enjoy doing it on these 2 parts. Now that I have completed my initial line, I am going to what am I talking about? Now that I have my initial line, I am going to try to paint with that same brown and black mix that I talked about previously. So we're not actually going to do a full line on each and everything. Sometimes we'll just do half a line, sometimes we'll cover significantly more. If you have any questions about anything, please let me know, because this is my first real in-person video. It's my first tutorial I think I've ever done. That looks pretty good. So yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know in comments or in, I don't really know how else you'd let me know. Let me know in some way. Now, the head is the perfect spot to really get into this. Your brown fleshy color into mixing it with all of this. Obviously, you still want to use dots, but it's once again, I absolutely just recommend throwing paint on a brush and putting a dot somewhere. It doesn't have to be the most spectacular little perfect circle. In fact, I actually make sure that it's not most of the time. For these shoulder pads, make sure you get dots on them every single time. You will have too little detail on these shoulder pads and they will stand out severely. You put your flesh on the white and your flesh on the brown. I reversed that order, but you get it. I like to sometimes overlap dots. It's not a huge deal, but it does make it look more random. Now, I am going to go on to my brown now. You can add as many or as few dots as you can, though after a while adding too many simply makes it look messy. Now, a few things to know with the wash if you're more beginner painter or learning how to do Tyranids, like I am. Make sure you put a lot on their face, but not too much. You don't want it to be insane. You want it to pool, but see, you can't, it's blurry. There's stuff in the mouth, that's great. On the eyes, it makes them more prominent. You get shadows, it fills up all these little crevices. It's great. But if you put too much on, it makes the entire model look the exact same, and that is not what we want. As I'm sure you can guess, that was not a hard thing to guess. And make sure you allow some pooling, but for smoother surfaces, kind of just wipe it off with your finger or a napkin. And honestly, that's what we really needed. There's one final step. I guess while I'm trying to let this dry, I can clean up a little bit. I can work on another model, which I normally would be doing, but I'm trying to make this a more specified thing. I don't need my palette no more. Okay. So, I'm going to talk about what we do. We take our Vulpus Pink, and this is the biggest thing that I see a lot of creators miss. Not a lot, there's 2 of them. Is these wires right here. I don't. Yeah, these wires on the gun. One of them just didn't even talk about any guns, ranged units, weapons at all. The other one just kind of threw the wash on it and said it's fine. I don't like that very much. I feel like the wires match the weapon too much. So, we're going to take our Vulpus Pink once this dries, and we're not only going to put it on the tongue, but we're going to put it on the wires and the connectors as well as the joints. So, my next video will either be about a barb gun, which is blurry once again, I hate this, a barb gun, a Ripper Swarm, or if I really wanted to go crazy, I am painting a Psychophage, and I doubt I'm getting a second one, so I'm waiting to make a full video on it. So yeah, accidentally started painting the legs without realizing, so that's there. But I have the full Leviathan box set, and I want to try and give everyone a full playlist or video about how to paint stuff like this. And so for those people like me who had no idea what to do and didn't want a split army, I feel like this is a great way to do that until eventually you feel confident to go out and do it on your own. Alright, I believe our Termagaunt should be dry enough to put an extra set of paint on. So, immediately, as I'm sure a lot of y'all can notice, we're just going to take quite a bit of this actually, and put it on the tongue and in the mouth. It's not very difficult, just try not to get it too far out. Another thing that's pretty much the same way is once again these wires. Take a lot of it and just kind of throw it on, but make sure to keep it still on the actual wires and not too far up or down. Lastly, and I also see this skipped over a lot because people just think a wash throws on paint everywhere, is these joints right here in between. Just put a very light layer of the pink in there. There is joints all throughout. Sometimes they'll need a dab, sometimes they need a full thing. As you can see, this is now our Termagaunt done. We have our full model, and I will let this dry, and I will come back and show you. It will only be like 30 seconds at most. And so, yeah. This is while it's still drying a little bit. Okay, it's going in and out of focus. So yeah. I will see you in 3, 2, 1. Alright, and here we go. Our finished Termagaunt model. Now, I don't have a base for this, and if you want, I can try and make a video making my first base. None of my models have an actual base for it. But yeah, this took me about 40 minutes while also slowing it down. But I'm sure I will speed this up in the editing and stuff just for convenience for y'all. Because I do want this to not be a kind of money series. I want this to be a nice casual series. As you can see on our wire, we have the purple, our joints have changed color slightly, we have our wonderful dots, and up close, it doesn't look amazing, all honesty, because it's me and I kinda suck at this. But I mean, if we put this far away, it looks significantly better. This isn't even far away, this is like 3 inches. And then imagine this grouped with 6 others. I lied, you don't have to imagine. Yeah. So, we just simply take this, and look at that. We get a great unit of models. This isn't even a full unit, this is just all the ones I have painted fully. And so yeah. I wish you good luck, happy painting, and if you have any questions or any suggestions about which models I should paint, I'm only doing Tyranids. I'm not buying other factions. Sorry. But, yeah. Have a good day, and happy painting.